Okay, so today's episode did not go as planned, and honestly, I think it's going to be one of my favorites. Today I'm talking with Kim Perry from Kim Perry Co., and y'all know I love to keep it real. And this conversation was the perfect mix of mom life, messy moments, and all things we need to hear as mamas, pregnant, postpartum, or literally just trying to survive another chaotic day. We went from talking about birth prep and mindfulness to deep diving into our favorite shows, Love is Blind, anyone else out there? Sharing the real behind motherhood and why we all need to show each other more grace. But we also got into some game-changing stuff for moms. Kim shares all about her fitness offers because y'all, she is amazing at keeping mamas strong in every stage of motherhood. And we talked about how she took my birth classes and used her labor bat signal with Jessie, baby number 4, and how she said it made all the difference in her birth experience, which ended up, we're going to record her birth experience because it's off the chain, y'all. So whether you're pregnant, in the trenches of postpartum, or just here for the real talk and the Netflix recommendations, this episode has everything. And of course, we've got links in the show notes for you to check out Kim's fitness coaching and my birth classes, so you can get exactly what you need, no matter what stage of motherhood you're in. I love y'all. Let's dive in. Good morning, everyone. So today's podcast episode, I am co-hosting with Kim Perry from Kim Perry Fit. And is that right? Kim Perry Fit? It used to be Kim Perry Fit, right? Was it? Or did you have an email or something like that?
No, there's no way you've been following me that long because it used to be KPL Fit, but that was like 2014. Like,
I don't know, but at some point that's what got stuck in my head, and that's what I always say.
Wait, I know what it is. You know how it says like your Instagram name, right? And then underneath is like your name. I have as Fit Pregnancy Coach.
Yeah, maybe
it might be that.
Kim Perry Co. then.
Okay, yeah, it's Kim Perry Co.
We'll go with that one since it's the right one. Okay, so we're going to chat. We're both moms. Kim is mom of 4. I'm a mom of 7. And are you from Florida?
No, I'm from Massachusetts. We moved 3.5 years ago.
Okay, I'm from Florida, but I don't live there anymore. I live in Nashville now. But I want to talk about a few things, Kim, if you don't mind, because I listened to our replay that you replayed of our podcast from when you were pregnant, right before you delivered. And the beginning of it was so good. And I could tell it wasn't scripted. It was just real Kim. And what was funny about it is that what you mentioned was just feeling exhausted and like you're messing things up. And like, yes, I look like I've got this perfect life together on Instagram, but in real life right now I'm struggling. And one of the things you said was missing a couple podcast things, which one was with me.
Yeah, which I'm so glad we're here doing this now because I was so looking forward to talking to you. I just love podcasting with you. I love listening to you. When you're on live, I'm like, let's see what Trish is talking about because you're just so fun.
It's always just normal
It's
stuff.
a good time. It's always a good time.
Thank you. So, but what really struck out to me is I feel that way right now too. And also like having grace for each other during these seasons, don't you think?
Absolutely. Because I'm just going to tell you something that also happened that same week. So I messed up my links and recordings with you, my scheduling. So then I had another one later that week and I was like, I am not missing this. So Jesse wasn't napping because, he's a baby. And I was like, whatever, it's fine. Like I'll have to like pause in the middle of this interview and go put him down. It's fine. I hop on the Zoom like this video and she sees me holding a baby and she's like, oh. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to put him down like when he's ready for a nap. And she's like, well, let's just reschedule. And I was like, okay. And she goes, is he your first? I'm like, no, he's my 4th. Like, you're not cool with this? Oh my gosh. So I felt like really like
judged.
Yes, I did. And her kids are older. And I was like, does she forget? Or is she just like, I don't know. And like, that's why I feel like you are so relatable in the aspect of like, we're just doing our best. We're like, I don't want to use the word unprofessional, but we're just like not super polished. Like we are just 2 women
real
trying our hardest, figuring it out and sharing the journey. Right. And I felt in that moment, I'm like, okay, this is not the journey she wants to be sharing.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting that you say that is because, like we've talked about, I coach women mainly. Obviously, people find me as labor nurse mama, and they're mostly in the motherhood niche, pregnancy, pelvic floor, all those type things. But how I roll on labor nurse mama. So I have two doulas that work with me. They both have babies. My two doulas have come from my student body, which I feel is so honoring. They want to work with me. But when they lead my pregnancy hangouts, if they have a baby on the boob, if they have to stop and go lay their baby down, even though this is my business, my family is priority. And if I can't do this business with my family, I don't want to do it. Like, I'm almost tearing up for you because I feel like that's so offensive, because who cares? Like, I've got my puppy on my lap, right? She might start growling. I'll pause. I'll go put her up. She's my baby now because all my babies are older. But I do podcasts all the time with birth stories, and my students have their babies on their laps. Like, that's real life, you guys. And if a mom listening to us is like, wow, like, I'm inspired, like she did, like, reached her goals and these dreams with a baby. Like, I grew labor nurse mama with Grayson under my desk playing with his toys, you know? And if I couldn't have done that, I couldn't have done it.
Right. And I think
And
that's
it's our
what makes
business.
it makes it so discouraging. Even just like simple things, like some moms are afraid to go to the store because their kids are going to be loud, and they know like their 2-year-old's going to cry when they can't get a toy. And that keeps them from going out in public and doing things and like living a full life because they're worried about being judged.
And shame on the people, because we should come alongside. That is something I am so passionate about.
Mhm.
I moved to Chattanooga from Florida. I was very young, mom. I had all my older boys, but like all 4 boys by the time I was 25, just so you know. Yeah. And here I am moving from Florida. I'm wearing Doc Martens, little half shirt, got tattoos. I moved to Chattanooga, which is like the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. Okay. I am a believer. I'm a believer, but I just walked to my own beat. And so I get there, and this group of homeschooling moms who made their own clothes, baked their own bread, which, if anyone knows me, I like to do some stuff, but like, my kids are like, will you make breakfast? I'm not that kind of mom. Like, I'll pour you some cereal. That's how I am for breakfast, right? So, but these ladies like bake their own bread, kombucha, all that stuff, right? They took me under their wing and they showed me how to be a mom with grace. And they were so loving to me. And that changed a lot of my direction as a very young mom. And so that's what I've tried to create inside my community, is a safe zone. Like, no one is going to mom shame you. In fact, when they join my community, they have to agree to that. Like, no mom shaming here. I don't care if you vaccinated your kids or you didn't. I don't care if you were induced or not, but you're not going to mom shame one of my moms. Like, this is safe. And I feel like, I mean, you know, again, everybody's different, you know, but stop making moms feel bad. That's what I want to say.
The other thing I'm thinking is like, I don't think she was trying to make me feel bad. I just think she's in a very different place in her life where she just forgot, like, or just sees that or saw like the baby and was like, oh, it must not be a good time because, you know,
And
she
you're right.
has
We're
alone
making an
time. And I'm like, I
assumption.
don't have alone time. Like this right now, he is napping. It worked out. So yay. But yeah, I'm like, a lot of people like, and it depends on the day for me too, because like a different day, I might have not been like upset about that. But on that day when I was already having a rough week, I already screwed up an interview. I already like my schedule was off. Like I'm just dropping all the balls, and it just takes something that small to make me feel like a failure. Right. And like she wasn't even like intentionally.
And you're right. We don't know. And like, maybe she had a podcast episode where a baby was screaming the whole time and she has trauma from that or something. Who knows? That's, again, just communicating and, you know, what have you. But just so everybody knows, if you're ever on mine, you can bring your baby. It's okay. I don't mind. Like, that's how we roll. We're all about babies, boobs, bottoms, bellies, all those things. Okay. So here's what I want to ask. This we have to talk about. This is so important because you mentioned that you didn't know why you're still watching Love is Blind, and this last season was And I felt the same way. Like, it was just But they're from Minnesota, right? Which is where you're from. Oh, Massachusetts. Good Lord. Yeah, good listener right here. Okay, I worked a travel assignment there. It was actually kind of fun, but it was kind of boring. And I asked myself every dang episode, why am I watching this?
I think it's because we all got hooked in 2020, like, you know, the COVID days. And it became like one of those comfort shows that like brought us excitement in a time where our lives were just like.
Can I be honest? I did not watch it then because 2020 was the best year of my life. That's when I got divorced, met my husband. Well, we rekindled. We got married 20 days later. Best decision of my entire life.
Wait, you got divorced and remarried to the same man?
No. I would not be sitting here. Yeah, well, I would not be sitting here had that been. I would be in a loony bin at this point. But no, we were supposed to be divorced in 2019, but COVID happened and shut down the court systems. Everything went wonkadoodle. But we got divorced. We were married 25 years. That's a whole nother podcast episode, like a narcissistic episode. But we got divorced, and I friend requested the very first and only man I've ever friend requested on social media and married him. We knew each other when we were kids. Let me just say that. He moved to North Carolina during COVID. He was flipping houses. He built homes. And we started talking on Facebook and like just connected. And he asked me out on a date. I almost died because like I've been married. I was with Mike for 27 years. So I said, I can't until my divorce is final. I mean, it was final in my heart, but I was waiting for the court to sign it. So the week that the court signed it, we met in Gatlinburg and had coffee and got married 20 days later.
Oh my goodness.
So 2020, I was doing my own Love is Blind. That was my own Love is Blind.
I really did like 2022 also because that's when I was pregnant with Blake. Like there was a lot of good in there.
Yeah.
But that's when I started watching the show.
Okay, well, I was doing my own Love is Blind experiment at the time.
Okay, right, exactly. Because you were just.
Yeah. Or Married at First Sight. Maybe I was doing Married at First Sight, but I did not watch reality shows until the last few years.
Okay.
I used to hardly ever watch TV.
Are you hooked on reality shows? Like,
oh my God, it's pathetic bad. Yeah.
It's just so much more interesting. And I think that's why we love like social media and following people is because we want to see like what's in your closet. Like show us what's in your fridge. Like how are you making your coffee?
What are you wearing to the grocery store?
Right. Like, what do you buy? Like what kind of snacks are in your pantry? Like that's what we really want to know. And I think that's why reality TV is so much more interesting than anything scripted. Like I can't remember the last movie I watched.
Do you know what I want to watch so bad? Because I listened to, oh my gosh, I'm having a brain malfunction right now. I can't think of her name right now. It's on my Audible, but she was on a reality show in England. And it's Made in Chelsea, I think is what the name of the show is, but I cannot find it anywhere to watch it. I want to so bad. I'm obsessed with wanting to watch. I love British people. Like they have the best sense of humor in the world and I like their accent. But so I was like, oh, I am not the only weirdo who watches reality shows. And I love it that you watch them too. And it's very addicting.
But do you also watch or see on Instagram or TikTok the commentary?
Yes.
You have to be like, that's honestly why I watch it, is so that when I see it on my feed, I know what they're talking about. Yeah. That's why I started a new show called Severance.
I heard you talking about that too. I heard you on the podcast talking about it. And it's very interesting. And I thought, man, how good could my business be if I could let the crap stay outside the door sometimes and not bring it into my work?
Like just watching TV in general?
No, Severance, how they go to work, they forget their home life, they come home, they forget their work life.
But the thing for you is that you wouldn't have a business if you weren't able to remember your home life. Your home life is such a big part of work. And for me too. So I thought that too. I'm like, oh, well, if you have to do like so basically Severance is like you walk into work and you forget who you are outside of your work. Like you don't have any memory. You don't know if you're married.
Nurse mama then.
I couldn't do it.
Right. No. So these people like are not brainwashed, but like their memory is drained when they step into work. And then when they go home, they have no idea what they did all day at work. They just.
Well, maybe we could have an anxiety draining elevator that just takes away any anxiety or stress. That'll work. Okay, so speaking of all that, we should probably get into our topics.
Okay.
Now that you guys have got to listen to our ramble, and just so you know, you can always listen to the podcast at 2x if you need to.
My
We-
mom does that with everything, and it stresses me out. I'm like,
No, it
you
used
do?
to me.
It used to stress me out, but I love to listen to audibles, and I want to listen to a lot of them. And so what's really funny, I was listening to you at 2x this morning. And what's really interesting about that is when you talk to the person in real life, or like there's a lady on Instagram, I ended up going, she had an event, I went to it. And when I went to her event, I swear it sounded like she was going, and today we are, because I listened to her at 2x all the time. That 1x sounds really weird.
Like slow? Do I sound slow now?
You sounded slow when we first started talking because I was listening to you in my headphones at 2x. So when I first started listening to them faster, I was like, well, that's kind of brilliant. I could read more books or listen to more books and on a vacation or whatever. So I started doing it at like 1.25, then I went to 1.5, then 1.7, but now I can do 2.
Wow. See, I feel like my brain is always racing so fast when I
Mine
listen
too.
to, when I want to like consume something, it has to be slow.
But you have to train your brain. Because that I couldn't do it before either. I thought Steve would put his book would pop on in the car and it would be at like 1.7 and I would be like, oh my God, this is overwhelming me. Stop it. But now I'm used to it. So anyway.
So wait, in case anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, you can like speed up the sound. Like our voices, and we'll be talking really fast and you'll be able to listen to so much more in less time and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A 20-minute podcast is now 10 minutes.
There you go. I mean,
And listen to a bunch of them.
yeah. But if you need more time to absorb and process, then just listen at regular speed.
I talk pretty fast anyway, so I probably would not listen to me at 2.0, but
yeah.
But I'll tell you who you can listen to perfectly at 2.0 is Mel Robbins, because she talks really slow. 2.0 sounds like normal.
Have you read her new book?
Which one? Let Them or High Five?
Let Them.
I don't know which is. Oh, yes. I love it. I love it.
I need to get that.
It's so good. We talked a lot about that at my client retreat because a lot of my clients are in the motherhood niche, and especially the lactation ones, they get a lot of flack online. And so we talked a lot about that. Like the whole let them theory, if you guys are listening, is like, let someone else have their opinions. Let someone else say what they want to say. That does not define you. But the thing I like about her is she says, then let me. So let them do what they want to do. But really what's most important is what you do. So the second part is let me. And it's like the choices you make, the grace you show, the mercy, all the different ways that you treat other people as well. Like stop worrying about what everyone else is doing and worry about you.
Let's bring this back to the lady judging you in Target, and you just let her judge you, because it really doesn't do anything to you physically. You have to just let them, not emotionally.
Mm-hmm. And she's carrying her own baggage because someone probably made her feel really bad, and that's what trained her to treat you to make you feel really bad. And like, just let her. It's okay. Yeah.
All right. We can't
really good
trying to like move on to the topics, and we just.
Yes. So the topic that we actually wanted to talk about was preparing for birth mentally, physically. I do a lot of mindfulness and mindset work. Birth is won or lost in your brain, period. I 90% of your labor is a mental game. You do have to prep your body for sure. But if your mind is not on board and you start freaking out and you get off track, like your body is created, like God designed our body, if you're anxious and fearful, to go into the fight or flight mode, which completely works against oxytocin, which is our superpower during labor. So I always talk about, you can know all the positions, the stages, you can know all the things, but if your mindset is out of whack, you're going to have a really hard time during delivery. So that's why you have to be prepared. And I love like that you bring in the physical aspect of that, because being prepared physically, and I was re-listening and remembering like some of the things we talked about. I love that you make these physical things for pregnancy and postpartum easy and short. And you said something in the podcast I listened today. You're like, there are women who like to work out and there are women who don't. I'm in the don't. I don't like to work out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like it.
For me, it honestly depends on the day. Like people think like, oh, you're so motivated and like you're so just naturally. And I'm like, yeah, but no, not all the time. I'm disciplined. I'm disciplined, which means like I show up even when I don't want to. Mm-hmm. But some days I'm like excited. And then most days I'm like, I'm so tired. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I do it. And then I feel better. And I'm like, look, it was only like 15 minutes. I'm done. I feel good. And we're moving on with our day.
Well, and it's about being smart with those 15 minutes, I would imagine. It's not like just like you want to be intentional.
Yeah, with them. For sure.
So I love that. So I am so your baby is going to be just one. I swear it feels like it's been longer than that.
It's been a really like full year, I feel like.
It's been long. And I try not to get on social media very often. So like I'm not scrolling a lot, which I was going to tell you that I just recently found out about all the TikTok stuff that goes on about Love is Blind. I thought that was new for this season. I didn't know that's always been happening. I had no idea. And now I had a client retreat in February. And I had to teach the next day. And I discovered the whole Blake Lively and other Justin Baldoni or whatever on TikTok. And I was up to like 2 a.m. I'm like, this is why I can't use social media. I will get sucked in. I get sucked in.
Dang, and binge worthy. What are these client retreats? I need to come. Like that's
well, you have to join my mastermind. My mastermind is for women who are growing businesses online. It's all about balancing family and your business and scaling your business and getting all your ducks in a row and having funnels and systems, but also very heavy on mindset. I'm very, very heavy on mindset. That's how I roll. But I'll give you information. I'd love to have you. It's really fun. Yeah. And then we have a in-person retreat once a year, and we had ours in February, and they were off their rockers. Like we had so much fun. We went downtown. We went to Broadway in Nashville. I was in the Uber that went home earlier. The other half of my doulas and birth workers, they were like, they did bull riding. They did all the things. But speaking of, one of my clients is the labor mama, Lo Mansfield, and she brought her baby to my retreat. And I've never had a mentor, a coach who would have let someone bring their baby. But I'm labor nurse mama. Like that's my whole thing. And if you're still breastfeeding or you have a baby that needs to be with you, bring them. Now a toddler would be a little different. That would be hard. But she played on the floor, and Lo took her to her room when she needed to. And that's just how I roll. So
yeah. So
I was thinking, I'm like, sorry, one more thing. I had a vision the other, like probably a month or so ago. And I was like, why isn't there an Airbnb? You know, Airbnbs are like coming along. You can have like a themed one. There's ones for bachelor parties, all these things. Like there needs to be one for like moms that want to get together, and you can bring your babies. And I pictured like a whole row of nursing gliders. Nice. And then like every room has a pack and play or crib changing table, all the high chairs like lined up in the kitchen. I'm like, imagine you and your friends could all bring your babies and go away on a little and just like be moms.
So
my friends, I'm older, so none of my friends, I have one grandson come on, but that would have been amazing. Back, like when I couldn't travel without my babies, but now my youngest is 10, so I don't need all that. But so we're going to talk about our topic, even though this is really, really fun. So I love that you took my classes with Jessie, because I feel like a lot of my clients, a lot of my mamas come to me not with their first babies, and they just want a different experience. And I know with your girls, you had epidurals that failed you. And I remember, like you said, you were really surprised about that. And that's something I teach, like epidurals are not guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. And then like, okay, got it. But then what do you do? Right? It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
And that's why I tell my students have an A and B plan. Like if your plan is unmedicated, you still need to know all the medicated options, because if for some reason you choose to go down that route, you need to know what you're choosing and what they're going to do, what the process will be like. Because I found as a labor and delivery nurse at bedside for 16 years, that the biggest thing that caused these moms angst was just not understanding what was happening, not understanding the process. And then they would look at me from the bed and go, what would you do, Trish? Well, what I would do is not necessarily what Kim would do. So that, I think, is why you have to be educated. So I love that you took the class with Jesse, and it's called the labor bat signal. I know you were like the bat cave, the bat thing on your Yeah, it's the labor bat signal, and that is an add-on that people can add on to their birth classes. They have to take my classes to use it. So it's something no one else does, but I love it. And funny enough, when I first started Labor Nurse Mama and my courses for the first year or so, I did it for free on my cell phone. And my husband was finally like, you got to stop giving your number to your students, right? So we started, it's called the labor bat signal. It's an add-on, and it's from 36 weeks pregnant to 8 weeks postpartum, which is when most moms really start getting overwhelmed with decisions and what the doctors are saying. And
or maybe you're like, am I having Braxton Hicks?
Right.
Is this a contraction? Is this my mucus plug? Like what's happening to my body? There's so much happening in those 12 weeks, because the end of pregnancy and those first weeks postpartum are just.
And it's a direct messaging through we do it through Telegram now. We used to do it through Circle. We like Telegram better for that. So it's with me and a doula, or just me, or me and my postpartum doula. And it's a direct messaging. They can start it. We started at 36 weeks. It goes to 8 weeks postpartum. Obviously, it's not like guaranteed immediate response, because it's only $99 to add on to your birth class. So it's less than $8 a week. But it gives them a place where, in postpartum, I feel like it's so powerful for these moms. And we can, I have a postpartum doula, so she gives them really good tips. But it's a safe space where they can just vent and ask questions. And you're right. If they go to the doctor's office and they're 38 weeks and their doctor springs a new thing on them, they can ask us hey, what is your thought on this? Obviously, ultimately, they have to make the decisions, but they love it. They love it so much. And you loved it. So you were able to
it was really nice, because, and I don't know what it is about being pregnant and you feel like you don't want to bother your doctor or make a big deal to your midwife. I think I'm in labor. It's nice to have somebody else. I can't explain it. When I had a doula, it was her, or I would text my mom or a friend and be like, well, this is what's going on. And then,
well, that's why I started Labor Bat Signal, because my friends would text me too.
So I don't know if I'm having contractions, but I was up all night. And then they're like, oh, well, it could have just been you're not sleeping great.
Prodromal or dehydration or what have you. Yeah. I like that too. And I'll tell you, funny enough, the majority of my students who use the labor bat signal go to the hospital at 7 to 8 centimeters. Is that not crazy? Because we keep them home and because birth is mental. And I'm going to tell you guys that over and over again. So when you're at home, that is your safe spot. So let's say you're at work and you start feeling bad, or you're having stress, get in a fight with someone at work. You want to go home. You want to go to your safe zone. And so being at home decreases your anxiety and increases your comfort, which increases your oxytocin. When oxytocin is flowing, our body has natural endorphins, which are like IV painkillers that are natural. So at home, you're able to handle a higher pain threshold. And so if we can keep you at home and not rushing to the hospital, because as soon as you get to the hospital, you start stressing out a little, because it's different. It's a different experience, especially first-time moms.
And also it just feels like it's go time, game on. Everything gets so serious. Have you ever felt not serious in a hospital?
Well, I don't feel serious, but yes, it's sterilized and all the noises, and you feel like And especially if you've never been a patient before, which a lot of first-time moms have never been a patient before, it's a little disconcerting. So the longer we can keep them at home, the better. And so what we have found is that, especially if we're up, like if it's 2 a.m, now Allison might be up because she's breastfeeding, but if we are up and we can chat them through it, we can usually keep them home longer. And as long as they're staying calm, like they don't freak out. And they aren't getting to the hospital, like pulling their hair out, freaking out. They're getting there thinking, I hope I don't get sent home. And then they're like 7 to 8 centimeters, So if they want an epidural, they can. If they want to go on medicated, it's just a good sweet spot for them.
Yeah. So they're progressing at home more comfortably. And not even knowing because, if they were to go to the hospital right away, they might get sent home, number one. Number two, it's just going to be longer. And
you're strapped to monitors. You've got the IV. You've got all these things going on. And if you're going against the norm, which most of my students do, now they've got to like fight that system in a even if it's not a bad fight or a battle, their nervous system feels like, oh my gosh, now I have to tell them I don't want an IV. I don't, and they don't know how the nurse is going to react. So the most powerful things you can do for your birth is prepare mentally, prepare your body, and stay at home longer. Stay at home as long as possible. Now, obviously, if you're being induced, which I was induced with some of mine, and I did have unmedicated births with them. If you're being induced, it's a different preparation mentally. But yeah.
I was the whole nurse thing. That's the thing about the hospital is like, you don't know the room full of people that is going to be there. Like these could be complete strangers. I was explaining that to my sister because I was talking about doulas, because that's one of the things we talked about this month. And she's like, why would you even like get a doula? And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many reasons. But also think about like, you go to the hospital, you're in labor, you don't know the nurses that are on staff. Like what if it's the middle of the night? You might, and I never met any of the nurses when I delivered in hospitals, like until I got there.
Oh, okay.
Like the labor nurses. I met like my OB. Yeah, like, and you met the doctor, but you don't know which doctor's going to show up, and you just have to like cross your fingers. So having a doula is great because you know it's the consistency. Somebody knows you, you know them, you guys have a plan together. They are on your team. Doulas are great. And then midwives, like if you go that route, which is what I did with my 4th, I loved that. And it's kind of similar because, there was a team of midwives.
And the midwives will be at bedside a lot more than your OB. So if you think, oh, well, I know my OB, if you go in spontaneous labor, you might not see your OB until the minute the baby's coming out. And that's shocking to most patients. They're like, where is my doctor?
Yeah. In my experience, the doctor's not there to help you labor. They are just like, get this baby out. Let me know when it's time.
Yeah. The nurse is who's going to be with you. And I can't even tell you hundreds of times that I'm pushing I'm like, okay, we're going to start pushing. And we start pushing and they're like, where's the doctor? The doctor does, like, if I call the doctor in before it's baby go time, they're going to be mad at me and I'm going to hear a lot of shit at the nurse's station. They want to come when that baby is crowning. Like, they don't want to sit there for 2 hours pushing.
Crazy. Like, that is just not like common knowledge unless you've had a baby before or are in the health and the medical field.
It's shocking to a lot of students. Like, they can't believe it. Like, where is my doctor? Oh, I'll call him. Is he at the hospital yet? Not yet, but I promise I know when to call him.
It's just so crazy. Yeah.
And I remember at the beginning of my career getting in like so much poop from these doctors because I would be like, I'm calling them. And it would be too early. They don't want to come early. They don't want to be there. They don't want to sit at the hospital.
Think about that. Just like for a second, shouldn't doctors like want to be there? I don't know.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing. They are trained as surgeons. They are trained for the interventions. They are trained to intervene. They are not trained for the natural process of birth. They are not going to come in and help you get into put different moving positions. They're not going to come in and encourage you to do all these things. They're there to deliver your baby. Your labor nurse is the one who's going to labor with you, and not even as much as you probably think she will be. But that's why I am a huge I love doulas because they are there for the comfort and the physical and all of that. And your labor nurse might have 2 patients. So she's going to be going back and forth. So that's why it's just really important. And that's why if people get my classes, I want their partner, whoever's going to be in the room with them needs to do my classes too, Because during labor, mom's only job is to labor. Like, you shouldn't have to fight for your rights or advocate or anything. That's when your birth coach steps in. So they need to know what you know, because that is the worst. When mom is saying, I don't want this and I don't want that. And then the doctor comes in and they're like, well, we don't want a dead baby, or we don't want an emergency. And they make it seem like that's what's going to happen, when that is not the case. And then dad, who is not educated at all, thinks mom's just being a rebel. He doesn't understand. Well, he's not. Like, they start saying emergency or dead baby or something. Of course, that's not what we want. But if you know that's not really the case, you can say, well, is that really the situation here? Or are you just saying, what if, And they do say that.
So lots of education. I feel like that's a huge thing, is education, understanding what's going on down there.
Yeah, what's going on in your body and how to work with it. And that's where knowing the stages of labor, the education, and then knowing how to move your body. And, we teach our students, like, we call it purposeful positioning, because you can actually help your pelvis open.
Oh my gosh. Do you know what position I did with Jesse? Which I don't think we should do a whole nother episode about, like, his birth.
Your birth?
Because, but I labored so fast.
I do know
and
that.
Nobody got to my house in time. So it was just me.
I know this.
Justin and my mom, which I had said before, that was one of my fears, is that because that's what happened with my
But was it as bad as you thought?
It wasn't bad. I just wanted somebody there, because in my third, if you don't know this, my third birth, it was 2020, so there was nobody there in the hospital, and it was just me and Justin. I felt her coming out. She fell out of me, and there was only a student nurse in the room. So
that student nurse about died.
Yeah. Well, she had given birth before, and she had been to, like, a couple births, but, like, she was alone here in this.
Yeah,
moment.
but still,
she
even as a labor nurse,
she pulled the emergency cord. She's like, freaking out. But for my fourth, I was like, that was what I wanted. I was like, I want someone there, so I don't have to do all the work, like, mentally, like you're saying, like, mom shouldn't have to do all of that while they're laboring, right? So I'm like coaching myself. I'm trying to breathe. I'm doing meditation. I'm like. Yeah. And Justin, we had a tub thing. So he's, like, worried about the water, and, like, I was throwing up.
And you're giving birth.
He's giving me a bowl. Like, it was just chaos.
Throwing up is the best pushing. That's why you went so fast. That is exactly the muscles you use to push your baby out.
Listen, I drank the castor oil.
Oh, that's why.
That's why I threw up. And I don't even.
Wait, did you do the Midwives brew, or did you just drink it straight up?
I didn't. Okay, hold on.
I already know I'm gagging myself because I drank it. Like, I drink it straight up, and I still, you're going to appreciate this. I still cannot pour oil into the water for pasta without gagging, because it reminds me of my puke from castor oil. Because it's so oily.
This is what happened. I did the Midwives brew, like, days before, and nothing. I just was up all night pooping.
I know where this is going.
So then, like, I was 2 weeks. I was 42 weeks, 2 weeks past my due date. And my midwife was like, you need to go into labor, or in the morning you have to go to the hospital. Like, we can't deliver. In the state of Florida, that's a rule. Like, midwives are not allowed to, like, deliver
home births.
Yeah. After 42 weeks, whatever. So I was like, whatever it takes. And my neighbor happens to be a midwife who's delivered over 700 babies. And she wasn't licensed in Florida, but she's like, this is what you're going to do. You're going to make eggs with the castor oil, because the eggs, the protein will keep it down.
With it. No, it doesn't.
You guys,
I tried that too.
It was this picture of scrambled eggs in, like, a bowl
baby
of
oil. And baby oil.
And then, like, eating / drinking.
I'm gagging too. I'm
so sorry.
Sick to
I'm so sorry. This is not what I was trying to tell you. But one of the positions during labor. So I was laboring. I had no idea how dilated. Nobody checked me. I didn't get checked one time, my dilation, because I was alone. And I don't have any interest in checking myself.
Side note, you can actually, I say this every time we talk about this. I sound like broken record, but here's a fun fact, straight from Labor Nurse Mama. You can deliver your baby whether someone checks your cervix or not. It can happen. You don't need them.
No,
you don't need a cervical check.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't have one, but I could tell, like, I needed to get into a different position. And I did the knees in, feet out. Wait, knees in, feet out. Like, it was like there was an acronym for it. Like, it's not KIFO, but it was like something like that. That opens up your pelvis. And I literally felt him like lower, like he just like dropped down. And he almost.
I've got my pelvis here. This is why you went. More room, baby. Come into the penthouse. Yeah.
Never done that with another birth, and I just wished I had a midwife there to recommend that. But like, luckily,
you didn't get your neighbor over there.
What?
I thought your neighbor came over for some reason.
After he was already out. And my midwife still wasn't there, so we called my neighbor to come back because like
I remember
the umbilical cord was like still attached, and we were there was a crazy car accident that night that nobody could get to my road, and the detour, it was insane. So since she was like literally in our community, she was able to get over and just like make sure everybody was okay. And
I bet she was so excited though, because she hadn't been at a birth in a while.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh, she loves it. Loves it. Now she's actually back in Michigan, and she opened up her own birthing center there.
Oh, that's exciting.
I know, but I'm like, oh, that we have like such a special bond now.
Yeah.
But my point was, if I hadn't done like all of the reading and like looked at all the different positions and done all the educating.
My birth classes.
Yes. Yeah. Like you don't. Like, and no one ever thinks they're going to be in that position. No one ever thinks like, well, what if I have to do this by myself? And I've had other moms say to me like, because I had a home birth, it was so controversial, apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so do you realize people have like plan a hospital birth? Maybe, they plan a hospital birth, but they don't even make it to the hospital because they have to birth the baby in the car or at their house. Like I feel like this is stuff women should know, whether you're planning to birth at a hospital, a birthing center, or your home. Like you need to know how to birth a baby if you are a pregnant woman. Like it's just
because if you're pregnant, you're gonna birth the baby at some point. Like it's inevitable. I've had several students that have accidentally delivered in the car or at home. And I always tell my students, like, if that happens, it's going to be a fast birth. And it's usually uneventful if the baby comes out that quick. So one of my students, my very first car birth for my students, her husband went and traded the car the next day.
Oh my gosh.
I think it got messy and he was like very traumatized by the whole situation. But she was like, you're right. It was really easy and fast.
Yeah, that's crazy about the car.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not, I don't want to say survival skill, but it's just like a life skill that you need to have. And like, you can have a baby without knowing what you're doing and putting a lot of trust in the people around you. But I feel like there's a different sense of like confidence you have going into it and then during it. If you do spend the time to just have a better understanding of what's going on.
No, it absolutely, I compare this like, and I'm in the middle of my Fearless Birth Experience week where I teach free workshops. And I started out the week telling them, I am a very type A planner. When I travel, I have a spreadsheet, like me and Grayson, we have packing lists. Because I am also a compulsive overpacker. So I have to write out and then stick to it. Like I have to stick to it. Otherwise, because we go to Europe three weeks a year. This year we're not, and I'm so bummed. I think we're going to travel in our camp, like our RV around. But anyhow, 2 years ago, I had a big launch and we were leaving for Italy. And I did not do all my things. I didn't have it all planned out. Usually I use this app. I think it's called Wanderlust, maybe. I don't remember. But I use this app. I have it all planned out. I know I have it documented where, like if we're landing here, here's how you get to where the train is to go into the city. This is what's going on around you. And then like there's a McDonald's on the corner. Like I have it so down pat because I don't like getting overwhelmed and not knowing what to do. And like, I just like to have it done. And my husband doesn't do any of that. That's my thing. I love it. I actually love it. And I have it like, okay, when we come out of the train station, go to the far right corner, you're going to see this. And that's where you get your taxi. And here's how to get to the Airbnb. I have it all written down. Well, Italy. Okay. We're going to Italy, which is like a dream. Okay. It was me and Lainey and Grayson, my husband, my son Gavin, his friend Tyrus. We were all going. And I bought the plan for my phone because we had not yet been to a country where we didn't like, where English wasn't predominant, you know? And so I had added service onto my phone, had Google Translate, all of that. We get there. Well, I had not planned out all the things, but I was like, you know what? I don't have time. I'll just use my phone. My phone wouldn't work. So we get to the airport, have no idea what we're doing, where we're going. My phone's not working. Nobody spoke English. That is what it's like if you don't prepare for your birth. If you don't understand what is happening inside of your body, what could be the most incredible experience becomes stressful, and you leave with a ton of what ifs. And those what ifs are what causes a lot of birth trauma. It's like, what if I hadn't let them induce me? What if I hadn't said yes to the episiotomy? What if I had known that I could have fired my nurse? Like, what if I didn't have that biatch in my room this whole time? What if I knew that I could tell my doctor, you're fired, and they have to provide me with a new one? All those what ifs can leave you, like you, my very first birth was amazing for a first birth. I was young and I was obedient. I took the class my doctor told me to take, which was a hospital Lamaze class, which taught the policies and procedures. Everything he told me I had to do, they reinforced. And so when I went into labor, I went right in. I had every intervention known to man because I wasn't going fast enough, and I didn't know that I could say no. He cut me from one end to the other because it was my first baby, and I wasn't pushing fast enough. So, which was a long time ago. Hopefully they're not doing that anymore. But the point is, I didn't know. If I had known. And so what was a really amazing experience in Italy was really stressful and overwhelming. And what was a really amazing experience with Ian was also very stressful and overwhelming. And I left that birth feeling like it happened to me. And so that's why I created my courses, because I would sit in my car crying because I watched these women who ended up having a C-section or all these interventions when I damn well knew it was out of convenience for someone else. It was not necessary. But I can't go against the doctor. I have to go by the doctor's orders unless you refuse and you speak up. That I educate the stink out of them, but that's not, when you're in labor, you're not absorbing education. It's too late at that point. But here's the other thing. They've just met me and they've just met him. I mean, they've been working with him or her. And if I'm even hinting against what this person who they've spent their whole pregnancy with and they know is a doctor, they're not going to listen to me. You know what I mean? Like most of the time. Yeah.
It's hard for them to make a decision.
And I'm not going to be like, your doctor is lying to you. This is not what you need to do. They want to go to their son's soccer game. Like, I'm not going to say that. So, you know what I mean? And a lot of times it's not that they're lying. It's that this is how they do it. But just because that's how they do their job, like we all do our job a certain way. Just because they do their job that way does not mean it's necessarily best for you. And again, doctors are trained in which I have some OB friends. They're amazing. They're more like midwives. And I know some midwives who are more like doctors. We call them midwives. So I'm not saying this is across the board, but you're taking a chance if you're not educated. And you're taking a chance if you aren't willing to speak up, because the education can only get you so far. You have to be confident to speak up, which is why I do my weekly hangouts with my students, because they can ask me questions and they might see like Kim is 38 weeks pregnant and, you know, Rachel is 12 weeks pregnant. And Kim is like, man, I just went to the doctor. They said my baby's big. They want to induce me. I asked for some proof. We talked through it and we decided that's not the best course for me. Well, that gives Rachel a little confidence when that happens to her, you know, so
funny. I'm definitely like type B. I'm the type B mom. But that is how I got so much of my education about birth. Like what little I did get my first pregnancy was YouTube. I watched YouTubers that were pregnant at the time, this is back in 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And there wasn't like a community yet, like Instagram. Yeah. Like I did follow some like fitness accounts, but not a lot of them were having babies. One of them I watched all of her videos like religiously because I was like, I know nothing. So
yeah,
I am learning a ton from everything you post is like helpful. And I
What's
think
really
that's where, so that's
funny-
another thing is like
Yes.
now there is a community for pregnant women online. There, it's so easy. Like if
There's
you're
lots to
pregnant,
choose from.
Instagram
Yeah.
knows immediately because you're seeing all these
Oh,
pregnant
Meta
women.
knows everything you do.
All, yes, the algorithm is like, here's like
Yeah.
baby must-haves and newborn essentials. Like your feed is like flooded with that, which is kind of cool. But have you, just as just like a side question, have you noticed any like or false information out there? I'm wondering if you see anything that you either like not just disagree with, but you're like, that shouldn't be on the internet.
I don't, but I will tell you part of the reason I used to, because I know like when a couple of things that are funny. I can remember a distinct moment in like 2013, 2014. I was working on a travel assignment in California, and I would always ask my patients, did you take a birth class? And I remember this girl saying, no, but I was watching YouTube. And I remember thinking, oh my God, are you kidding right now? Little did I know that I would become that person. But it's so different now. Back then, there really wasn't anyone like me. It was just mom bloggers or YouTubers that weren't like birth professionals. And then in 2018, 2019, there was a few of us that really started. And now there's a ton. So part of the reason why I don't is I don't want to get in my own head and be like, oh, look what she's doing. Like, I need to keep up. I need to do that. Yeah. So I just like to do my own thing. Like, there's so many people for you guys to choose from. Obviously, now there's a bunch of pregnancy fitness. There's a bunch of birth education. So what I feel like is showing up as me. And I tell my clients all the time, your vibe attracts your tribe. Like, I want the people who want to work with me. There's people who want to work with someone maybe who's teaching labor and delivery that's still having babies. I'm not. I'm a Gigi now. I have my little grandson. Like, I was a labor nurse for 16 years and I have 7 children. So I bring to the table a much different set. So maybe they want more of like a mom figure, And I also do a lot more community. I do give my students a lot more than I probably should, but I like it. And when I started my very first birth class, I did it with another labor nurse, and she had just had her second. She was getting pregnant. She didn't want to do all the hangouts. I love my pregnancy hangouts. I know for a fact that has changed my labor bat signal. She didn't want to do stuff like that. And of course she didn't, because she's still raising her babies. She's got 3 babies at home. So,
So I feel like there is something to, watching maybe like an influencer or a YouTuber share their experience, or even like if you're seeing like a pregnant woman working out and she's like, this is the workout I did today. Like, that's great to be opened up to, and maybe learning from someone else's experience or seeing what someone else is doing and thinking like, how could I apply that to my life? But in the case of like actually wanting to educate yourself on birth, or wanting like a fitness program that you can follow A to Z without having to like guess or try like trial and error type of like, let me see what I can do. I'm pregnant. I want to figure out my workouts. This girl posted let me try her workout. Right.
And you don't know if it's safe for pregnancy.
Well, that's, same thing with like anyone sharing their birth experience. Like, they had an experience, but there might be something medical that you don't know about going on in your body or their body that would change it. So,
and me with my experience, I have 16 years as a high risk labor and delivery nurse. I was not working in birth centers. Now, I always got the unmedicated patients because I just love it. But I have 16 years of high risk labor and delivery experience. Not even just that. I was a travel nurse, which travel nurses have to be on top of their game, because you're going to a facility and you're getting thrown to the wolves. So they won't take just anybody. Like, you have to know your shit. So I did that for 16 years. And my students tell me all the time that they get asked by the staff if they have experience in labor and delivery or maternal health, because I teach them what I know. And I break it down. I'm a homeschool mom, so I break it down, and I know people, they need small little chunks. They need to be able to understand it. I don't want it to overwhelm them. This is probably going to be the longest podcast I've ever recorded, because I know my pregnant women, so y'all can watch it in 2 parts and on 2X. But you have to really be cautious. And even with me, my whole point where I was getting was, I still don't know my students' entire medical history. So I always tell them, I'm going to tell you what I know, but it's up to you to make sure it's right for you. And you need to trust your provider. Like, one of the most powerful decisions you can make is putting some time and effort and choosing the right provider for you. But that's hard because they don't know what they don't know.
Right. And I do the same thing with like my workouts. I'm like, I can show you this exercise, but you have to have the awareness of your entire body as you're doing this move. Like I'm not watching your form because all my programs are recorded
online,
and you can start them at any time, just because moms, we have busy schedules. It'd be insane for me to be on live with you, with everybody.
Yeah.
And watching everybody. So yeah, you have that responsibility of, am I using good form? Is my core engaged as I'm going down into this lunge, or am I wobbling around? And so having that awareness and just taking accountability and responsibility for yourself, whether it's a workout or birth.
Yeah, exactly. And that is where knowledge is power. And that is your responsibility. And that's the same with mothering. Like, so what if your mom did it a certain way? You have to figure out what's right for you and your children. And here's the other thing. You're going to do it wrong at times, and that's okay. Forgive yourself. I tell, like, your kids are, how old is your oldest? 8. So you're going to get there probably very soon, or you're there, where they start questioning what you're doing. And I always say Sally, I don't know why, but Sally's mother is not doing that. And I remember saying to my kids, like, okay, great for Sally's mom. You're my child. And maybe this isn't the right decision. And maybe I'll regret it later in life. But I'm doing what I believe is best for you based on what I know right now. And if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I was wrong and I will apologize to you. But right now, this is what you're doing. And this is how you're doing it. So I don't care if Sally got a cell phone at 8 years old. You're not getting one until you're 15, like whatever it is, you know what I mean? And like, I'm okay with being the worst woman in the world because I'm making the best decision I can make, knowing what I know for my children. And that is where education and reading books and having a mom village, that's what I wish, Kim, the very first postpartum hangout I have with my members, it's choking me up a little right now, honestly. I will never, ever forget it because as a labor and delivery nurse, I recover you and send your booty to postpartum. Like, I don't spend much time with you. I'll go over and see my patients, all of that. But spending time with other women in the exact same stage of life, when you're in the throes of it, you're not sitting out at the park having deep conversations. You're watching your toddler. You're putting your baby on your boob. You don't have times to talk about and break down your experiences. So we started the postpartum community inside the membership because I spend so much time with my mamas. I have some that have been with me since 2020, if that says anything. And they're paying monthly to be with me. And some of them are not having babies anymore. But we started the postpartum hangout, and the very first one, we had like 20 moms on. Half of them are have their cameras off. Some of them are laying in the dark breastfeeding. And one of my moms who had just had her third, I think. Oh my gosh. I think she's had 4 with me, or maybe she's had 3 with me. I'm blanking right now. She comes on and she starts talking about what is known as intrusive thoughts, right? And she's talking about thoughts of harming her baby. And literally inside of me, I just had floods of memories of being like, I'm going to drop my baby out the window. Like, I'm going to drop my baby down the stairs. Like, not that I was like thinking I'm going to throw my baby down the stairs, but I could picture it happening. And then I was like, I'm a psychopath. Like, I need to be locked up and my baby needs to be taken from me because I did not know that's normal. And what I've since learned, and when she started talking about that, the cameras started popping on and all these moms are crying who had experienced this. And one of them that day felt like someone should take my baby from me. And if you're listening and you've experienced this type of things, it's very normal. And what I've since learned by doing a lot of research, it's actually our brain taking the situation we're in and saying, okay, A, B, C, D, or E could happen. The baby could fall down out of my arms and down the stairs. The baby could fall out the window. That it's not us thinking I'm going to throw my baby. It's thinking what could happen and how do I handle it?
It's your mama bear protection instincts kicking in all of the
time.
But
it feels weird.
I made a reel about this and it has over 129,000 likes on it.
Okay, I'm going to go reshare it.
It has over
Send me the links to it.
Over 18,000 shares. It's just people are like, oh, and the comments are just thousands of people saying like, this was my intrusive thought. Like for me, it was always like, I would just be.
I need to post that. I have not really posted something like that, but Kim, I laid in bed that night and cried. And Steve's never had children. He marries this hot mess with 7 kids, right? He's never been married, never had kids. And it has been quite an experience for him. He's the most amazing human. But I laid in bed and was just crying because I kind of kept it together on the hangout. But honestly, I was processing my own. Grayson was like 6 at the time. 7. I was processing, my oldest is probably your age. My oldest is 35. And I'm processing all of these things that no one had ever talked to me about. And it was literally the most profound moment. And that is because of a bunch of women hanging out on Zoom, willing to be real. And I can tell you, these girls say stuff to me and my team and to each other that they would never say to their mom friends in real life, because you're not going to sit at the park and say, God, I was thinking about throwing my baby out the window last night.
Well,
right? You know,
the thing is, like, when you said like thoughts of harming my baby, it's not like I want I want to hurt this child. It's like, oh my gosh.
But you feel like you're thinking, like the way you process it in the moment makes you feel like you're psycho or something's wrong with you. You don't understand that is a normal mama bear instinct. And no one's going to go to the park and tell a group of women that could call DCS on them. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the thing is, like, I feel like someone, like, I would now after 4 kids and like having posted about this and knowing other people experience it, like I would open up about something like that. Like,
yeah, but not everybody's like that. And a lot of people are not looking at social media and seeing, and if they've never out loud said, I have intrusive thoughts, Meta's not going to show them you're real. You know, so it's like there's just so much about having women that you can be raw and real with. Like, I wish that I had my community when I was having my children. I was very lucky with this weird bubble of women that I was with. And honestly, one of the things that I tell my students all the time, so one of the moms, she had 7 kids. And at the time I had 3, and I thought, this lady is off her rocker. I had no idea I would have 7. But I remember her, we were having a Bible study and it was like a co-ed type thing. And she goes, I just do not like Jed, which is her son. She's like, he is on my last nerve and I don't like him right now. Like, I don't like him. And I remember going, because I had been struggling with one of my kids who was just literally off the wall, off the chain, 24/7. And I remember being like, you're allowed to say that you don't like one of your children. And I said to her, I afterwards talked to her and she was like, they're people, you're people. Sometimes your personalities will clash and sometimes they're just in a weird stage and like you love them and you would die for them, but you don't like who they're being. And that was so freeing to me. Like, this is another human being. They aren't an extension of me. They are, but they are their own person. And you can love them, but also not like the stage they're in.
Yes, I like that. I've had to use that myself. And like you said, they're the personalities. Like, what are the chances that you have a couple kids like that you guys are going to be best friends? You know, like, it's just, it's really strange to think about. And then also, like, what I'm like preparing my mind for is that they're going to grow up and I'm going to have to form a new relationship with my adult child one day.
Yeah.
That scares me. I'm like, I hope they like me because I'm so weird. And like, now it's fun. Like, I'm a fun mom because I'm a weirdo and I'm silly and I dance. But when they're older, they're going to be like, wow, Mom.
Oh, no, they're going to come to a stage where like Grayson's like, Mom, don't dance.
They already tell me that. Rosie told me to go fix my hair yesterday. She's 6.
I love her already.
Yeah. And she's like, Mom, you need to change and go do your hair and makeup. People are coming over. And I was like,
so me and the girls me and my youngest 2 above Grayson are my girls, right? I had Grayson, my oldest was 24 when he was born. And so most of my boys were already like adults when I was having Grayson, but me and the girls pretty much raised Grayson. And we did my travel assignments, me and the girls in Grayson, because I homeschooled. And we would just like, if we were getting stressed or whatever, we'd be like, dance party. We'd turn the music on. We're all dancing. I have no rhythm. I don't care. Now, if I've had a little alcohol in me, I think I can dance a little better than normal. But we would do that. Well, Grayson will have nothing. He will not do it now. It's so mortifying and embarrassing to him. Me and the girls loved it, which now they don't live here. It's just me and Grayson and Steve. So, which my daughter just moved out recently. And I'm so like, but getting to your point, it's really an interesting dynamic. Like I am so blessed. And I don't know if you know a lot of my story, and a lot of people know that I had a really hard situation with my ex, and he's not a good person. And it's been really hard for me and the kids. None of my kids have contact with him, even Grayson at this point. So, but the fact that there's such amazing people, despite all of that, like I know that's God's grace and the million times I was on my knees praying. And I made a lot of mistakes. Just so you moms listening, I made a lot of mistakes. I have covered a lot of ranges as a mother because I had my first at 17 and my last at 42. And so I made a lot of mistakes, but I always was authentic with my kids. I always apologized. I didn't try to pretend like I did it all right. And they have become the most amazing people. And I love being around them. Like I really love being around them. And Steve is like, God, they're really amazing people. And we don't all have as close of a relationship. I'm not a clingy mom. So like my older two, like I'm not calling them every single day. We talk, but what's really fun, but not fun, is when they start telling you all the shit they did behind the scenes that you didn't know about, that each of them knew about. So Elias is listening to this, and he's going to be editing this because my son is a freaking amazing musician. That's why my sound quality is so good on my podcast. I'm so blessed. But they have all told me things that I'm like, what? Are you kidding right now?
So funny. Oh my God. I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what they talk about at night in their beds when they're not sleeping and they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh gosh, this is a funny but not funny story. And I don't swear, okay? I grew up, I would get my mouth washed out if I said crap. I say some things. I call them like the PG swear words, but like if I ever say F, it's fudge. Like I don't say that word. But one time when my two older boys were like maybe like 10 and 11, they were laying in bed and the beds are like parallel. And Ian has his back to the door. Hunter has his face to Ian and can see the door. And I come around the corner and my son is like rapping out every swear word you've ever heard in your life. And Hunter's eyes are going like this. And I was like, what? And then Ian goes, is mom behind me? I was like, I just was like, he was just practicing them all, like in a slew, all of them. And I was like, I've never even said that word in my life. And like 10 and 11, they're 16 months apart. But I almost died. Like I couldn't believe my baby, like my angel, was saying all these words. But now it's one of our funniest family stories.
Yeah. Because right now, Ayla is, 8, and she thinks like the F word is freaking and frick.
Oh, my kids were, the S word was stupid when my kids
that's an S word in my house.
Yeah. The S word was stupid. So it was really shocking. I was really, really shocked, but it didn't kill them and they became productive people. So it's okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I can only hope. Like that makes me excited. I'm like, I can't wait to like see who they are in the future and like be friends, not friends, but like some people get turned off by that. They're like, you can't be friends with your kids, but I want to have those amazing relationships with my children.
Yeah, I'm really blessed. We've been through a lot and some of my kids have struggled with some different, areas in life, but yeah, I'm really, really
to their
blessed.
core. They are who they are because of the life that they've had.
Well, yeah. And they have a lot of trauma. So, but they're all doing work on it.
Yeah, good. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think we all need therapy and trauma work. Don't you think?
Yes. I know. I feel like it's becoming more common, but
Yeah.
it could definitely be even more so. Yeah. It's expensive.
So,
Oh my gosh, it's so expensive.
Why is
So
therapy so much
expensive. I
money?
don't know, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. And the other thing about therapy, I don't know if you follow me at all, but I got certified in EFT tapping. That
My
has
mom
been
does that.
life. Oh my God, it's been life changing. I do that with my students, I do it with my clients.
Emotional
Yeah.
freedom technique, right?
Yeah. I do it a little different. I do it with also mindfulness and abundance, like not just working through your trauma, but also what you want in your life. And I do it with prayer and Bible verses but it's been life-changing for me. But we have talked about literally everything.
I know, and we could keep going.
I know, but we probably should end it because I do want to spend some time with Grayson today. I usually don't work on Fridays. But I am in lunch, so I have free classes tonight. So here's what I want all of you guys to hear. Get educated, take care of your body. You can take my birth classes. They are the best in the world. I'm certain of it. And take Kim's fitness programs. Explain like, and we'll have links in our show notes.
Pregnancy workout programs and ones for postpartum, because when I was first time pregnancy, I felt so judged for working out and just like limited to what I could and couldn't do, what I should and shouldn't do. And I just hated the limitations, but I also like felt like I knew my body. So I went ahead and got my certification during my second pregnancy in postnatal fitness. And I created my own workouts that were not lame and boring, because prenatal workouts were just such a snooze for me. I wanted something that made me sweat, but also was safe for my body, and just finding that balance.
I'm
And
completely opposite. I don't want to sweat.
yeah. Ew.
Okay, so keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. And then postpartum, I also like I wasn't 6 weeks, but I was ready to like go out and
Yeah.
go for a walk. Like I really wanted to work out like my upper body, because I was feeling so like hunched over holding a baby all the time. Like, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I just did an upper body, like just like a little stretching and like little very lightweight bar type workout. And I felt so ashamed of it because I wasn't 6 weeks postpartum and it was
Yeah.
such a big deal. So I went ahead and made a program for moms who are ready to start moving their body in a safe way, because it really isn't about when you start exercising postpartum, it's what you start with, right? We want to be, very mindful of our core. Pelvic floor just went through so much. So obviously healing is very important, like top priority. But when you are wanting some movement and, core engagement, like what does that look like in those early days or weeks postpartum? And how can we work out, feel good, feel safe, and protect our bodies? So yeah, that's what I do, and it's
I love it.
fun, and I love it. I love the moms who are inside too. We don't have a lot of time, obviously, so the workouts are right under 20 minutes. Some are a little more, some are a little less, but so fun. I have the workouts like in the schedule already. Just click. You don't have to think about anything. You show up with a sports bra or in your pajamas and press play.
I love it. And it's something they can do during nap time. It's something they can do at the end of the day, the beginning of the day, what have you.
Yeah, when the baby's sleeping, when the baby's awake, crawling around, or in their
Do you
little.
have some that use the baby, like that you do with the baby, or no?
I have a whole program that I was working on. I mean, it's there. It's a little older. I need to like add to it. That's one of my like OG
2025.
ones. But I was like, I did a lot of like baby holding workout where you're like holding a baby or child, or the girls are dancing around. Like we did like a fairy workout. So like the kids,
Oh, that's
because
so
I have other
fun.
people that are still doing these, and these are like from 4 years ago that I filmed them. So to
Yeah.
me, I'm like, I want to update them. But
I
like
need to update some of
moms
mine
love it.
too.
Yeah, moms are like, we love it because my kids are like looking at your kids and it entertains them. So they feel like they're watching a little like YouTube video of kids.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a workout in because you're right there with your weights, and
Yeah.
it's a win-win. So maybe it's time to like revisit that.
Yeah. Because I feel like that I had 5 littles at one point. Like I could not have had 20 minutes to myself. I would have to have had something to incorporate them.
Usually crawling under me, over me, on me, around
Okay.
me. Like
Yeah.
it's all like kid friendly. Like you can press pause at any time. But also I am doing a free week of workouts called Momentum Week that anyone can
Oh, I
join. We're
heard
gonna do
that.
it together. There's gonna be like a start date. I'll send you the details. But
Okay,
it's
yeah.
completely free, and that will lead into a 4-week fitness series if you're interested.
Okay.
But this week is free, like no strings attached, like just it's in your inbox.
I love it.
You can do with it what you wish.
So
And
it's something they can
pregnancy-
do on their own time that free week as well.
Well, we're gonna
It's all
start all
recorded
together,
or
like, that's-
together.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just feel like this time of year we're kind of like in a slump, but like the days are a
Yeah.
little longer. You feel spring energy,
Yeah.
and you're like, I want a new routine, and that's what it's designed for, is to
Yeah.
get you into that routine, get your 20-minute workout in, maybe at the beginning of the day or whenever it's gonna fit for you, to really like kickstart your fitness.
So this just made me think, next time I come to see my mom, we need to connect because my mom's in St. Pete.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, Kim, thank you so much for having me on yours and yours on mine and having just a really chill mom conversation.
So fun.
So much
Thank
fun.
you. This is a blast.
Thank
I'll do it
you.
again anytime.
Wow, that was a ride. From birth tips to Netflix binges to the real struggles of motherhood, postpartum, pregnancy. This episode was basically a mom's survival guide wrapped up in a vent session. And I loved every second of it. If this episode hit home for you, I'd love to hear from you. Please write a review. It means so much to me. Take 2 seconds right now. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at labor.nurse.mama and tell me your biggest takeaway. Or honestly, tell me which reality TV show you're currently obsessed with. I need to hear. And hey, if you're pregnant, you're postpartum, and you need actual expert guidance beyond just my birth and baby show recommendations, my Calm Labor Confident Birth class, and Calm Mama Society, my membership is exactly what you need. It's packed with everything that will make you feel less overwhelmed and more prepared for birth and postpartum without the fluff. So check it out at labornursemama.com/calm or labornursemama.com/CMS for the membership. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and I'll catch you again next Friday. Bye for now.